Happy Sabbath. I'm here this morning because I want to share with you some of the incredible ways that God is working in Angola. But before I reference Angola and get into that, I want to start off with just a brief look at the children of Israel. As they were getting ready to go into the Promised Land, God gave a commission to Joshua, and it's really an incredible commission. God said to them, "Every place your feet will go, I will give that place to you." And in verse 9 of chapter 1, God says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And of course, the children of Israel moved into the Promised Land and started to encounter these fortified cities and places where that were inhabited, and God gave them victories over those places. But he did it in unconventional ways. He did it in ways that proved to them that it wasn't their strength that was accomplishing that, it was his strength. And that's a reference point to begin our short talk about Angola. Maranatha answered a call to work in Angola, and we really didn't know what we were getting into. Angola's been a tough place to work. Many obstacles, many challenges. But as we have relied on God, God has brought us every step of the way through our project there. And I want to share with you a few things this morning that illustrate that. Maranatha was asked to help meet some needs for churches and schools in the country. The Seventh-day Adventist Church in Angola is growing rapidly. There's about 400,000 members, and many of those members meet in places very different from where we are this morning. They might be under trees, it might be in houses, it might be in a tin shed. And those members need places to worship, mostly because it helps them to reach out to their friends and neighbors and helps the church to grow. And so Maranatha responded to that and started building churches. We started building the one-day church. You're familiar with that. It's a catalyst. It's a great building because it helps the congregation, gets them started, and they take what's been given them and they add on to it and they build walls and they build it up and it becomes a congregation, or it becomes a sanctuary where they can invite their friends and neighbors. In March, I visited a little fishing village called Destaque, and in that village there was a one-day church. It had been there for about a year. And in that time since we put up that church, the members have been raising money. And they raise money by saving the little that they have. So they sacrifice and they take offerings every Sabbath, and they collected money to build up the walls of their church. And when I got there in March, there was a stack of blocks sitting there that had just been delivered, and a mason was scheduled to come the next week to build that church. And just a few weeks ago, I got pictures of the church. It's all built up. It's partly stuccoed. It's getting finished. It's almost ready to paint. And the members of that congregation had been waiting to worship in there until it's completed. And that new church will become a beacon in that fishing village to the Creator God, and it will help them grow even faster. And that's a great example of the work that Maranatha has been doing in Angola in relation to churches. Just a couple of weeks ago, we built our 323rd church in Angola, and that finishes the number of kits that we had, or the number of buildings that had been shipped into the country. So we're now completed with building churches in Angola. And that story from Destaque is repeated all throughout the country. I'm told that of those 323 churches, more than 100 of those are for congregations that were meeting under the trees. So you can see the great impact that's being made by those churches and will be made by those churches. And another great impact is schools. I visited a little village, or it was a small city really, down on the border of Namibia called Santa Clara. And there were kids meeting under trees for school. There was 14 trees, about 400 kids, and they were all meeting under trees. And that's a common occurrence in that part of Angola. Today, a school has been completed, is waiting for classes to start in that place, 18 one-day school classrooms. Maranatha is building other schools around the country. A total of 200 classrooms will be built, and we're continuing on with that. That will stretch into next year. And so I ask for your prayers for that project. We really need your support so that we can finish those school buildings. Those schools and churches will become memorials to the living God. When the children of Israel conquered a city, they would often build a memorial to the living God that they could look back and say, that's a place where God worked in our story. And so these churches and schools that Maranatha has built in Angola and will continue to build are memorials to the living God that show how God is working through Maranatha to reach the people of Angola. I ask that you continue to pray as God works in Angola and continue to support the projects there. God is doing great things in Angola.